In 1997, LucasArts created a video game called Star Wars Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2, which takes place a year after the second Death Star had been destroyed. The main Imperial character is the High Inquisitor named Jerec, who was played by English actor Christopher Neame in the live-action cutscenes. But where did this character originate, and what is Jerec's storyline in the Star Wars timeline? Decades prior to the Clone Wars, an archaeological research branch of the Jedi Service Corps maintained by the Jedi Order dispatched a research team specialising in the field of archaeology and was led by the Jedi Councillor Jocasta Nu. Her research team travelled the galaxy gathering information for the Jedi archives. During her journeys, she discovered a Force-sensitive child known as Jerec, who was from a near-human species known as the Miraluka that differed from humans in that they lacked eyes, only retaining vestigial eye sockets, but were all generally Force-sensitive. Jocasta Nu later delivered Jerec to the Jedi Academy for training, and would later go on to select Jerec as her Padawan. She continually encouraged Jerec to seek for greater knowledge and understanding, and Jerec went on to develop an interest for answers to all possible questions, and became very self-assured, knowledgeable, and a confident individual. The young Padawan also lent the physical disciplines, as he mastered the ancient Makashi and gem form of lightsaber dueling. He eventually earned the rank of Jedi Knight, and later a Master, while serving the Jedi Service Corps, to continue archaeological research to uncover ancient lore and retrieving artifacts from across the galaxy. Among the ancient sites he pursued was the Valley of the Jedi, a battle site of incredible power which had been lost to the Jedi over the years. Throughout his life, Jerec continued to seek out the valley's location as part of his own personal quest. Upon returning to Coruscant after concluding a research mission, the Clone Wars had ended and Jerec swiftly realised the Jedi Order had been virtually exterminated. Knowing he was in mortal danger from the new regime in power, the Jedi Master travelled to the unknown regions to hide. Jerec remained hidden from the newly fledged Galactic Empire until the High Inquisitor Tremaine tracked him down and offered him a chance to join the Empire. Jerec willingly accepted Tremaine's offer on the basis that he was not willing to die for the Jedi Order, and turned his back on any surviving Jedi seeking to further his knowledge towards the dark side. Jerec became a member of the Imperial Inquisition, a feared Imperial intelligence division of Jedi hunters consisting of Dark Force-sensitive agents known as Inquisitors. Reporting to Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader, these Inquisitors were considered the most important of the dark side adepts. As a Miraluka, Jerec opted to wear a thin strip of leather over his eyes, and while seeking out and studying Sith lore, he decided to bear the same Sith tattoos on his face as Darth Maul had done before him. However, Jerec was never adorned as a Sith Lord by Palpatine due to the reason that the Emperor's apprentice Darth Vader already held the title. His knowledge of the old Jedi Order helped him track down other lost Jedi and turn them over to the dark side of the Force, and also into the service of the Emperor as a loyal Dark Jedi. However, cunningly, Jerec personally nurtured their allegiance to him and serving towards his own aspirations. While the numbers of Jedi in hiding dwindled across the galaxy, Jerec assumed an important position in the Imperial Palace within the court of the Emperor, where he learned to speak and write in Sith and became exceptionally powerful in the dark side. It was even rumoured that Jerec was considered worthy enough to have been Darth Sidious's apprentice, if it was not for Darth Vader. Like other Darksiders, Jerec hated and tried to undermine Vader at any opportunity. However, gaining the Emperor's favour over Vader was never achieved. During this period, he was permitted access to the written work of Palpatine's Dark Side Compendium, which was an influential work on everything concerning the dark side of the Force. From this, Jerec's knowledge grew and gained an idea of forging a group of Dark Jedi. Unfortunately for Jerec, the Emperor later withdrew his access, suspecting he was becoming too much of a threat to him. Over a period of time, Jerec began building his own crew of loyal Dark Jedi, including notable members such as the Bolteranian known as Maw, the female human Saris, the Twi'lek Bokaseka, and the human male Yun, who were amongst the most sadistic of his disciples. Although the Emperor was all too aware of Jerec's power and desires, the High Inquisitor opted to hide his power from military and lower levels of Imperial society to create an aura of mystery and knowledge of all things. He convinced his subordinates that despite his obvious lack of eyes, he could in fact see. Despite this, Jerec studied the Dark Force cult of the Prophets of the Dark Side, while being tutored by the Emperor's Hand, Lord Cronal, who himself was a powerful dark side adept. Cronal taught the fascinated Inquisitor more about the Valley of the Jedi, a legendary source of incredible power. He told Jerec whoever could find the location of the 7th Battle of Rushan, a skilled Force user could harness the trapped spirits of hundreds of Jedi and Sith. This fascinated the ambitious Inquisitor and dreamed of acquiring its power. Jerec went on to work closely with the prophets of the dark side and Lord Cronal. The Emperor's hand consulted dark side alchemy, concentrating the Force into two physical forms to create the mutated Sith spawn Gork and Pick. They both joined the High Inquisitor's control to join his group of Dark Jedi. In return for all Cronal's help, Jerec frequently acted as an emissary for the prophets of the dark side. By this time, Jerec held the title of High Inquisitor and was tasked by Palpatine into a similar archaeological role he had held in the Jedi Order, to seek out Jedi and Sith lore. By 2 BBY, Jerec personally reported directly to Palpatine himself and outranked the dark side adepts such as Lord Hera, who was the head of the imperial criminal justice system, and Kadan, who was the supreme prophet of the dark side. However, Palpatine had very little trust in Jerec, and in 1 BBY assigned Captain Thrawn to command Jerec's Star Destroyer, the Vengeance. Thrawn and Jerec worked together to eliminate a group of rebels on the Outer Rim world of Sullen, where the High Inquisitor claimed Sullen as its governor, building himself a large tower in the capital of Baron's Head. Jerec then went on to brutally execute the Force-sensitive rebel leader Morgan Katan, which would set in motion a series of events which involved Jerec for years to come. Prior to his death, the Force-sensitive Katan, with the help of the Jedi Master Ku-Ran, discovered the location of the ancient Valley of the Jedi, and Jerec would eventually seek out this information. In the months which led up to the Battle of Yavin, the son of Morgan, a young Imperial cadet known as Kyle Katarn, was decorated by Jerec at the Caridian Academy's graduation ceremony. Although Jerec was powerful in the ways of the dark side of the Force, he could not foresee at this stage the role Kyle Katarn would later play when the two men would cross paths. In the meantime, Jerec was developing a thirst for power, as being a High Inquisitor was not enough to fill his ambitions. However, he required wealth and abused his position, granting exemptions from audits made by the Inquisitorius on the corporate sector authority in exchange for credits. Jerec gained billions of Imperial credits via the exemptions, which swiftly enabled him to increase the size of his own Imperial forces. In the same year as the Battle of Yavin, Jerec was planning to overthrow Emperor Palpatine's reign over the galaxy. As part of his plot, he travelled on board the Star Destroyer Vengeance to the mid-rim world of Ethor, where an ancient parasitic menace named Spore was locked away inside Ethor's surrounding asteroid belt. Jerec had learned of the ancient Ithorian experiment which created Spore, and how aggressively it could take over the minds of Sentinels as part of its collective consciousness. The High Inquisitor confidently concluded he could control Spore to enslave armies to do his bidding against Palpatine. However, after the crew of the Vengeance had been infected, space slugs in Ethor's asteroid field attacked and destroyed the Star Destroyer before it could leave. Although Jerec escaped his failed plot, the High Inquisitor decided to put his traitorous plans on hold, while he returned to Sullen to lay low for a while and continue as its governor. He notably replaced the wreck of the Star Destroyer Vengeance with the new Vengeance 2 SD, but also used his extensive wealth to have Kuat Drive Yards build a Star Dreadnought variant similar to the Executive class called the Vengeance class Dreadnought. For the next few years until 4 ABY, Jerec's activities would be particularly low-key, and it was not until the death of the Emperor that Jerec once again seized the initiative to further his quest for power. As the Galactic Empire was falling apart around Jerec, and the remaining highly ranked Imperials were carving up what they could of the galaxy as warlords, he too declared himself a warlord, and began aiming his ambitions for the Imperial throne itself. What remained of the Galactic Empire's power during this period was currently an internal struggle for power between Saint Pestige and Yusani Isard. Jerec thought better to get involved and only watch from the sidelines, opting to pursue and rekindle his plans to locate the Valley of the Jedi. Jerec felt that if he could acquire the power of the Valley of the Jedi, he could build a new empire. The warlord had now achieved what he had planned for years before, when reading Darth Sidious's Dark Side Compendium. Jerec had created a group of 7 Dark Jedi, including himself. The High Inquisitor realised with the Valley's power, which held a bottomless well of energy, he was certain he would become mightier than even Emperor Palpatine had been. However, powerful Imperials reached out to him, including Grand Moff Ardus Kane, who had formed a splinter Imperial state called the Pentastar Alignment. Although he pledged public loyalty to the Grand Moff, covertly he was pledging his loyalty to the Prophets of the Dark Side, who had tutored him many years before. During this period, his former tutor, Cronal, and the Dark Side Prophet, was located on Biss. Cronal revealed that the Emperor had indeed survived, and ordered Jerec to search out the Valley of the Jedi for the reborn Palpatine. Jerec was of course already eagerly searching for the valley, and gained a small fleet of Star Destroyers and a cargo ship, the Sullen Star, from Palpatine's Dark Core forces, to assist the Vengeance-class dreadnought. Jerec soon tracked down and captured the Jedi Master Ku Ran aboard a New Republic corvette. He used his telepathic dark side drain knowledge ability to extract knowledge from Ran's mind without his consent. Probing Ran's mind for the valley's location, he learned that the map could be found on Morgan Katarn's old homestead on Sullen before Jerec executed Ran. Jerec hired a droid called 8T88 who travelled to Sullen and discovered a map showing the location of the Valley of the Jedi. The droid then supplied the map and the coordinates to Jerec. However, Morgan Katarn's son Kal Katarn was able to access a message by the Force Ghost Ku Ran, who told him Jerec had been the one to murder his father, and warned of Jerec's evil and the Inquisitor's desire to acquire the immense power held within the Valley of the Jedi. Ran told Katarn it was his destiny to stop Jerec acquiring his power for his father's legacy. By now on the planet Rushan, Jerec had set up a tower and a base of operations for an entire Imperial garrison to operate around the Valley of the Jedi. Meanwhile, Jerec prepared to visit the area of the valley called the Force Nexus, believed to be the most powerful source of Force energy in the entire galaxy. Katarn tracked down the location of Jerec's tower, having defeated several of Jerec's Dark Jedi along the way. Jerec confronted Katarn at the top of his tower and tempted him towards the dark side of the Force, but Katarn had resisted. Satisfied the young Jedi could not be turned, Jerec used his power to hurl him before retreating into the Sullen Star docked at the tower. The Sullen Star's power failed from Jerec's energy blast and began to plummet to the surface where it exploded. Jerec felt Katarn would not survive and ordered his servants down to find and finish him. However, Saris and Yun failed, allowing Katarn to seek out Jerec inside the core of the valley, where Jerec was already in a state of frenzy as he held the incredible power of the valley. Using the Force, he meditated inside the absolute heart of its power, and basking in the Force energies. His constant thirst for knowledge and power throughout his life was fulfilled. Katarn infiltrated the core of the valley, fighting off Jerec's Imperial force of stormtroopers, including Bok, who was Jerec's last remaining Dark Jedi. The High Inquisitor then emerged from the eruption of light and energy, goading Katarn of his use of the dark side. However, Katarn was able to defeat him with the light side technique that disrupted Jerec's connection to the Force. With Jerec on his knees, he goaded the Jedi, reminding Katarn that he had killed his father. Katarn took mercy on him and provided Jerec's lightsaber back to him. Jerec's evil tendencies ensured the Inquisitor attacked Katarn, but the Jedi struck him down with his lightsaber. Jerec slumped to his knees, realizing his defeat, and his body dissolved in a flash of dark side energy. For more Imperial Explained videos, please give a like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and as always, long live the Empire.